Number 5, lacking motivation. What is motivation? Motivation is simply the impetus to action, the thing that moves you to actually do something. So when you're not motivated, it's hard to take action, it's hard to do something. So while I strongly suggest that you plug into discipline more than you plug into motivation, you have to pick one between discipline and motivation. I would suggest you go with discipline because it's much more dependable, much more consistent and reliable. That doesn't mean the motivation doesn't matter, because good news is you don't have to pick between the two. You can have both, but you just need to understand the value of each and where each one fits into the equation of your life. All right, motivation does have its place and it does have value. Even though discipline is better than motivation, doesn't mean motivation doesn't matter at all. Doesn't mean you can't use it. So motivation can actually lead to discipline. I did a whole episode talking about this, episode 1784. We had a proper formula for transmuting one energy into the other. That's how you can turn a short-term motivating energy into a long-term disciplined behavior. And again, episode 1784, you can understand how that works. Without any motivation, however, you have no motivation at all, a person may never even take the first action, so there's no way you can get yourself to discipline. So that formula that I just referred to you can't use that one without some level of motivation. Now, it doesn't mean you can't be extremely disciplined without having any motivation at all, but honestly, it kind of does mean that, because in order to be disciplined, you need some impetus to even start. So you kind of need some motivation, even if you're not languaging it as motivation. So for example, you have a boss at work who says you have to fold 15 boxes every hour, and you think you can only fold 10 boxes per hour, but the boss says anybody who isn't folding 15 boxes per hour is getting fired. Now, you may not consider yourself to be motivated to keep the job, but you do want to keep the job because you need to pay your bills. So somehow, some way, you find a way to pack 15 boxes per hour or fold 15 boxes per hour. And that is the motivation. Motivation is that if you didn't do it, there was going to be a consequence. You want to avoid the consequence. So wanting to avoid the consequence, that right there is your impetus to action. That's your motivation. So every long-term discipline starts with some form of motivation, even if we're not calling it motivation. All right, I needed some form of motivation to turn on the microphone and start recording today. Even though I have the discipline to make sure that it gets done, I still had to move myself to do it. I still had to say, okay, today, here's my schedule. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to record this show. I still have to turn the thing on. I still have to actually start talking. Even though the discipline is there, I still had to move myself to do it. I got to move myself to put it on the calendar and have the material ready and then start doing what I'm supposed to do. So when you have one, you can create the other. Now, what happened on one and the other, meaning motivation and discipline, respectively. Many people betray themselves because they have no impetus to action.